Hello, everyone. My name is Oscar Carmona, and I'm the owner and operations lead for Birding Texas and Beyond. Thank you for joining me this evening for our webinar, providing an overview of our upcoming Upper Texas Coast tours. We will be recording this webinar, so I have turned off everyone's audio and video. However, if you have any questions, please send them through the chat, and I will address them at the end of the presentation during the Q&A session. We will be covering the following topics this evening. Introductions. We are going to detail our upcoming Upper Texas Coast birding tours with a look at the locations we are going to be visiting, along with a sampling of the bird species we may see. We will also look at what's included in our tour packages and what to expect. And then finally, we will end with a Q&A session. A little bit about Birding Texas and Beyond. We officially launched in July of 2025. I had been guiding for several years, actually decades, private tours within Texas and Mexico. And last year, I decided it was time to expand our bird guiding services to include all-inclusive tour packages throughout Texas and other U.S. and international destinations. Our mission at Birding Texas and Beyond is to create memorable and educational birding experiences by highlighting the distinctive bird species, habitats, wildlife, and local cultures of the destinations we explore. We offer various tour packages ranging from half-day local excursions to week-long expeditions targeting specific bird species or habitats. The two guides for the upcoming tours we are covering today on the Upper Texas Coast are Cameron Cox and myself. A little background on each of us. I am a native Texan. I started birding at the young age of 12 while living in the Rio Grande Valley. I have birded for over 40 years throughout all corners of the state and have written articles for Birding Magazine, Birders World, and Birdwatchers Digest, and have provided input for several books and field guides. In addition, I have conducted breeding surveys of endangered bird species in Texas and have professional experience with guiding tours in Texas and Mexico. Our second guide, Cameron Cox, has been an avid birder for over 30 years. Cameron's passion is teaching others the joy of birds and that even the nuances of bird identification can be fun to learn. He is the author of Terns of North America, a photographic guide, and co-author of the Peterson Reference Guide to Sea Watching. When guiding, his focus is on keeping things fun so everyone gets the best experience possible while being peppered by bird facts and ID tips. He and his wife split their time between coastal Washington and South Texas. The tour we'll be covering this evening is called Spring Migration Spectacle on the Upper Texas Coast. It is a 7-day, 6-night tour that will run twice this year, from April 15th through the 21st, led by Cameron Cox, and from April 29th through May the 5th, led by myself. Each tour is limited to 8 participants, and there are still available spaces on both of these tours. The Upper Texas Coast is a great place to bird any time of the year. However, spring migration provides opportunities to see a greater variety of birds. Neotropical migrants fly 600 plus miles nonstop across the Gulf, making the Upper Texas Coast one of the closest habitat-rich landfalls, creating dense concentrations of warblers, vireos, tanagers, orioles, and thrushes rarely seen elsewhere. Weather patterns create fallouts that can produce hundreds of warblers and other songbirds in a single woodlot, plus strong cold fronts can push rare, vagrant species towards the coast. 20 plus species of warblers regularly pass through the area in spring. Add in vireos, flycatchers, thrushes, tanagers, and orioles, as well as other migrants, and you can easily tally 200 plus species in a short trip. We will now do a brief run through the itinerary of our Spring Migration Spectacle Tour and showcase some of the destinations we will visit, along with some of the bird species we hope to observe. Day 1 of the tour starts and ends at Houston George Bush Intercontinental Airport. After meeting everyone at the hotel, we will hold an evening orientation session and welcome dinner to give participants an overview of what to expect for the next several days. We will spend that first night in Houston. On day 2, the first part of the tour leads us to the piney woods north and east of Houston, where diverse bird species can be observed due to the distinct habitats in the area in this region. We will visit W.G. Jones State Forest, which is point A on the map, and sections of the Big Thicket National Preserve. We will spend the second night in Jasper. The landscape in the East Texas piney woods is very diverse. From cypress sloughs to arid sandyland pine forests and everything in between, the region hosts a wide range of bird species. W.G. Jones State Forest is located just north of Houston and is one of the nation's largest working urban forests. It is a demonstration and research area used to test various forest management techniques, forest genetics, and forest product utilization studies, and it is also home to a colony of red-cockaded woodpeckers. The Big Thicket National Preserve is a 113,000-acre preserve that is spread out among several counties in East Texas. There are several different ecosystems within the preserve, ranging from tupelo swamps to pine savannas to southern hardwood forests, supporting birdlife typical of the southeastern United States. We will now take a look at some of the specialties and other species found in the Piney Woods region, where we will be on day 2. The red-cockaded woodpecker is listed as a threatened species by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. It is a species requiring a specific habitat that consists of old pines with very little understory. They prefer nesting in pine trees that are infected with red heart fungus, which makes cavity excavation easier. In addition, they peck holes around the cavity, causing the tree to leak sap, which keeps snakes and other predators away from the nest entrance. The pileated woodpecker is the largest of the woodpeckers found in the United States. They are most often seen pecking away at dead trees and fallen logs in search of their favorite prey, carpenter ants. Their abandoned nest holes are used for shelter by owls, wood ducks, swifts, and other wildlife species. The striking red-headed woodpecker can be seen in various habitats in the region. It can either be seen pecking on a tree just like a woodpecker, but also fly catching from the top of a tree, catching insects in midair like a flycatcher. They are one of the few woodpeckers known to store food for later, including insects and seeds. It is rumored that the red-headed woodpecker was a spark bird that got Alexander Wilson, the legendary ornithologist, interested in birds back in the 1700s. The brown-headed nuthatch is almost always located first by hearing its rubber ducky calls coming from the tops of pine trees. These birds often travel through the forest in small family groups and are one of the few birds that use tools in its search for food. They can often be seen carrying a piece of bark, which they use as a pry tool or to use to cover its stash of food. Pine warblers are a common sight throughout the eastern pine forest and are almost always seen near pine trees. They are the only warbler species that regularly eats seeds, including millet, sunflower seeds, and cracked corn, especially during winter. The closest relative of the pine warbler is the olive-capped warbler, which is found in the pine forests of the West Indies. The prairie warbler can be found in second-growth forests in the region. It is one of the few species that benefited from the mass clearing of eastern forests after colonization. It has declined in some parts of its range due to regeneration of forests. The yellow-throated warbler is one of those species that has a tendency to stay in the upper reaches of the tree canopy, causing you to get warbler neck. This is one of the few warbler species that winters in the United States, and they nest farther south than most warblers, winter farther north, and are year-round residents in some southern states. The Swainson's warbler is a hard-to-see warbler found in southern swamps and forested ravines. It is most often heard but not seen as it sings from dense understory growth. Giant cane is one of the preferred habitats for this species, even though over 90% of the giant cane in the southeastern U.S. has been cleared for agriculture and development. It is believed that the Swainson's warbler has the same habitat preferences as the now extinct Bachman's warbler. The graceful Mississippi kite can be seen soaring over the pine forests and swamps of the region in aerial pursuit of dragonflies, which they eat while on the wing. They are colonial birds and often hunt together and nest in close proximity to one another. They are very defensive of their nest and often dive bomb people who get a little bit too close. In addition to the Mississippi kite, we also have great chances to see the swallowtail kite, which do nest in this region as well. On day 3, the day will begin in the area north of Jasper, which is B on the map. It's to include Sam Rayburn Reservoir and parts of the Angelina National Forest, where we will seek out additional piney wood specialties. In the late morning, early afternoon, we will drive south towards High Island, which is D on the map, to visit some of the preserves, including Smith Oaks, Boy Scout Woods, and Hook Woods. On day 4, we will begin the day at visiting Jocelyn Nungaray National Wildlife Refuge, formerly known as Anahuac National Wildlife Refuge, which is Point F, to search the agricultural fields, freshwater marshes, brackish marshes, and prairies of the refuge before returning back to Hyatt Island to visit some of the preserves in search of neotropical migrants. Nights 3 through 6 will be spent in Winnie. We start day 3 north of Jasper in the area around Sam Rayburn Reservoir and the Angelina National Forest. The Sam Rayburn Reservoir is one, if not the largest lake in Texas. The combination of surface water and surrounding pine forest and hardwood forest provides a diverse habitat for many bird species. We will be visiting a few parks and preserves along the shores of the reservoir. The afternoon of day 3 will be spent in High Island. There are several preserves in High Island managed by both the Houston Audubon Society and the Texas Ornithological Society. These preserves provide feeding and resting grounds for neotropical passerines after they have crossed the Gulf on their journey northward. In addition, the Smith Oaks Bird Sanctuary provides habitat for a large colonial waterbird rookery, including spoonbills, egrets, herons, cormorants, and anhinga. Day 4 will include a morning visit to Jocelyn Nungaray National Wildlife Refuge. The refuge preserves 39,000 acres of coastal marsh, freshwater marsh, woodlands, agricultural fields, and coastal prairie, and provides habitat for a large variety of migrant and wintering bird species. Now we will look at some of the birds we will see on days 3 and 4 of the tour. The Bachman sparrow is a secretive sparrow resident in the grassy pine woodlands of the southeastern United States. They are often found in the same type of habitat as red-cockaded woodpeckers. They are declining in part of their range due to habitat regeneration, fire suppression, and logging. They often escape predators by hiding in underground burrows made by armadillos. The white-eyed vireo is usually first located by its song, as it sings most of the day even when other species have stopped. Seeing them is a totally another story, as they like to skulk in the thick scrub. On their wintering grounds, both male and female vireos sing, but only the male sings while on their breeding grounds. The Acadian flycatcher is a member of the Empidonax genus, which often drives birders crazy due to their similarities and difficulty to identify. They are strongly marked and can be identified by their rich olive green plumage, neat eye ring, bold wing bars, and large, partly orange bill. They are often first found by listening for their call, which sounds like pea soup. Yellow-billed cuckoos are spring migrants and breeders in the region. Although they are large birds, they are difficult to see as they tend to sit motionless in dense canopy of trees. Their primary food source is tent caterpillars and are one of the few bird species that feed on hairy caterpillars. They sometimes lay their eggs in other bird nests, including other cuckoos, American robins, gray catbirds, and wood thrushes. They do not do this as common or as often as their European counterpart, the common cuckoo. The beautiful painted bunting is another species that is found in spring as both a migrant and a breeding bird in the area. They can be found in a variety of habitats in the region, but prefer secondary growth and edge habitats with dense understory. During spring fallouts, it is possible to see several painted buntings in a single tree, making for a beautiful sight. The beautiful magnolia warbler is one of several warbler species we may see during the tour. They stop along the Texas coast to rest and feed on their journey northward, where they breed in the boreal forests of the northern United States and Canada. Although the magnolia warbler occupies a wide range of habitats in its winter territory, ranging from sea level to 5,000 feet in cacao plantations, orchards, forests, and thickets, it has very specific requirements on its breeding grounds, where it nests in dense stands of conifers. The roseate spoonbill is a common sight along the Texas coast and is the only spoonbill species found in the Americas. The 5 other spoonbills are found in Asia, Africa, Europe, and Australia. And just like humans, the older the spoonbill gets, the more it balls. The fulvous whistling duck is one of 2 species of whistling duck found in the United States, the other being the black-bellied whistling duck. This species is rarely found away from rice fields where they find both food and habitat. During migration on the upper Texas coast, they can also be found in crawfish farms and flooded pastures. Fulvous whistling ducks started breeding in the United States only in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, following the start of rice cultivation. The purple gallinule can be found skulking amongst the cattails, reeds, and submerged vegetation in the region's freshwater marshes. These brilliantly colored birds have colors such as red, blue, green, aquamarine, indigo, violet, and yellow, but blend in well with the surrounding environment. The sora is the most common rail in the United States, but is still difficult to see. It is most often heard with its descending whinny call coming from a thick stand of cattails. They are most often seen in early mornings or late evening when they are more likely to wander out in the open in search of food. They also respond often to loud noises such as slamming car doors or a loud clap. Day 5. The day will begin birding the Bolivar Peninsula, which includes many spots along the coast, including tidal flats, Gulf Beach, coastal prairies, and marshes. In the late morning, early afternoon, we will drive back to High Island to visit some of the preserves, including Smith Oaks, Boy Scout Woods, and Hook Woods in search of neotropical migrants. Day 6, we will begin the day by visiting Tyrrell Park near Beaumont, which includes a large freshwater marsh and open woodlands. Later in the morning, we will visit Sabine Woods in search of neotropical migrants in the preserve's oak mottes, and open fields and Sea Rim State Park for open beach, coastal marshes, and tidal flats. We do spend nights 5 and 6 in Winnie. Finally, on day 7, we will return back to Houston for departures, but may make a quick birding stop along the way. We start day 5 in the Bolivar Peninsula just south of High Island. The Bolivar Peninsula is a thin stretch of land located between East Bay and the Gulf and goes from the Galveston Ferry area north to High Island. It is a major bird conservation area and includes forested, wetland beach, and bayside areas, including the coastal prairie. The afternoon of day 5 will be spent in High Island. There are several preserves in High Island managed by both the Houston Audubon Society and the Texas Ornithological Society. The preserves provide feeding and resting grounds for neotropical passerines as they have crossed the Gulf on their journey northward. Day 6 is going to be spent in the Beaumont and Port Arthur areas, including Tyrrell Park, Sabine Woods, and Sea Rim State Park. Tyrrell Park includes Cattail Marsh, which is an extensive 900-acre freshwater marsh. Sabine Woods is a 27-acre Texas Ornithological Society preserve, which includes large oaks along a Chenier Ridge and is a great spot for migrants. Lastly, Sea Rim State Park has 2 miles of Gulf shoreline and 4,000 acres of coastal marshes. Black skimmers are common sights along the region's barrier islands and beaches. They stand out amongst gulls and terns with their contrasting black and white plumage and long bicolored bill. They are known for their hunting technique, which involves flying just above the water with their lower mandible skimming the surface of the water. When they feel a fish, they close their jaws and take the fish out of the water. These birds also often feed at night. American avocets are a symbolic species in the region. They gather in large numbers from the hundreds to the thousands in Bolivar Flats during migration and form large feeding and roosting flocks. These birds are also brood parasites. Females often lay their eggs in the nest of another avocet who ends up incubating and raising the chicks. Seaside sparrows can be found in salt marshes in the region. The birds found in the upper Texas coast are of the Gulf Coast subspecies. This subspecies has a yellow stripe in front of the eye and a buffy chest with streaking. It also has a longer bill than their Atlantic counterparts. Their soft buzzing song sounds like a distant red-winged blackbird. Boat-tailed grackles are limited to the coastal areas in the region, unlike their close relative, the gray-tailed grackle, which is widespread throughout. The glossy blue-black males are often seen displaying from marsh grasses or other perches. It is easy to separate these from gray-tailed grackles by eye color. Boat-tails have a dark eye, and gray-tails have a yellow eye. Least bitterns can be found in the freshwater marshes in the area, but they are more often heard than seen. Their chestnut buff and black plumage, camouflaging them in the marsh vegetation. Much like their larger relative, the American bittern, when startled, they freeze in place with their bill pointing up and their bodies swaying side to side to resemble wind-blown marsh vegetation. Nelson sparrows can often be found in the same habitat as seaside sparrow during winter and spring on the upper Texas coast. They can be identified by their bold yellow-orange faces, gray cheeks, and a band of yellow across a slightly streaked breast. This species used to be known as sharp-tailed sparrow. The king rail is the largest of all the rail species found in the United States. It is found most often in freshwater and brackish marshes. Its call is a steady series of harsh notes, more staccato than the call of this very similar clapper rail, which can also be found in this area along with the Virginia rail. Fish crows are present in small numbers on the upper Texas coast. Their short, nasal, often double caw notes separate them from the more common American crow. They have also been slowly expanding their range inland in Texas in recent years. White-tailed kites are often seen kiting over coastal prairie or grasslands in search of prey. During the non-breeding season, these birds often form communal roosts that can number up to 50 birds at times. They used to be known as black-shouldered kite, but the name was changed to avoid confusion with the bird of the same name found in Europe, Africa, and Asia. That concludes the overview of the two tours. We will now go over what the tour packages include and what to expect. What's included in our tours? Expert guide services, entrance fees to all parks and preserves as listed in the itinerary, local ground transportation, accommodations, lodging. We do limit our group sizes to 8 participants. And then all meals from dinner on day 1 to breakfast on the last day of the tour and daily refreshments in the van. We do provide pre-tour information packages with trip planning and resources and what to expect. On these Upper Texas Coast tours, we at least expect to see 125 plus species potential, depending on also weather conditions, moderate daily walks of 2 to 3 miles, walking on uneven, soggy terrain or in the rain is entirely possible, especially in the spring as cold fronts blow in. And we do spend about 7 to 10 hours each day field time. There are moderate drives to hotspot locations, and we do start early. We do morning birding, we take a lunch break, and we resume birding up until about 5 p.m., followed by dinner at a local restaurant. So that concludes the webinar for this evening. Thank you again for joining us for your interest in birding Texas and beyond. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions or you may have, and make sure to visit our website to learn more about our upcoming tours, and make sure you follow us on social media to stay informed on our trip reports and special announcements. Have a great evening and please join us for your next birding adventure.